Welcome back for a new episode of Way Out Wednesday. My name is Dr. Ashley Southard. I am the site director and clinical therapist at a New Beginning Outpatient Treatment Center and also the co-founder and program director of the Healthy Way Out Emotional and Binge Eating Weight Loss Program. Both are located in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. So this month, I'm dedicating all of the episodes to talking about negative beliefs that you might have about yourself that often coexist with binge eating disorder. And today I want to talk about a really common belief, which is my needs don't matter. Now, there's a couple of different variations in which you may experience this belief. It might be, I have to please others, I have to make others happy, I can't upset others. But those are all just variations of this belief that your needs aren't a priority and they don't matter. So how might this negative belief affect you in your life? Well, you may find that you tend to try to put other people's needs first in a people-pleasing type of way. And what I mean by that is you do things for others to keep them happy at the expense of your own needs and what you need to feel happy. As a result of this, you may find that some of your relationships can feel very one-sided. You can feel like you're giving a lot to try to accommodate that person, make them feel happy, but not necessarily receiving a lot to make you happy. You may then find that you feel taken advantage of. What we also find when people believe that their needs don't matter is they really don't put a lot of time or energy into self-care, into doing things that make them feel good about themselves and doing things to take care of themselves. And when you put all of this together, putting other people's needs first and feeling taken advantage of and not taking care of yourself, all of that really becomes a recipe for shame. And as I've discussed in many of my previous videos, shame is one of the most powerful emotions that you're likely to experience inside of yourself that then triggers binge eating. So let's talk about where this belief might come from, this sense that your needs don't matter. Well, if you've ever been around a baby, you know that babies aren't born with this belief. Babies actually believe the opposite, that their needs really do matter, and they expect you as the caregiver to meet their needs. So if they're hungry, if they're cold, if they're upset, they will let you know with this very primitive expectation that you're going to come and take care of them and make them feel better. But somewhere along the way, early in our lives, some of us have experiences where we learn that somebody isn't going to come and take care of our needs and tend to us. And so that's what can really leave us with this sense that, well, I guess my needs don't matter. Now, there's a lot of different ways that this can manifest in your life. Some of the most common ways will be if you had a parent or parents in which they were preoccupied with their own physical and or mental health needs. So oftentimes when I'm working with people, they will describe growing up in a home where maybe their parent was dealing with an addiction or dealing with severe depression, dealing with some type of issue that really took them away from being able to tend to that child's needs because they were so consumed with kind of tending to their own needs. Sometimes we see this show up in situations where the parent is gone a lot of the time. So whether they're traveling, whether they are gone for very long periods of time throughout the day because of work or other commitments. And if the parent isn't there, it's really hard to meet all of the child's needs or most of the child's needs. And so the child can certainly then feel like, gee, my needs must not matter. Sometimes there's just very limited resources in a family environment, and so the child's needs can't be met. And this can be due to there's too many people in the family and just not enough time or money to go around for everyone's needs, or sometimes there's just not enough time or money even with a smaller number of people, and so that child's needs again go unmet. Now, when children are developing, they have what's called egocentric thinking, which means that children believe that things happen because of them. So good things happen because they're good. but bad things happen because they're bad. And so when children's needs aren't met, that feels like a very bad experience. And unfortunately, what the child brain does with that is it internalizes and takes responsibility for that and says, well, my needs aren't being met, and it must be because they don't matter. Rather than taking the approach of my needs aren't being met and it must be because my parent is dealing with other things or there aren't enough resources in the family. Instead of thinking that way, the child assumes responsibility. And if that's the belief that you develop in childhood, that my needs aren't being met because they don't matter, then you internalize that belief and you carry that forward with you into adulthood and begin to interact with your world from this place of my needs don't matter. And that's where we start to see the people-pleasing tendencies and the over-giving and the overextending of oneself, really at the detriment of what you're needing and what you're feeling. You then feel taken advantage of, you feel resentful, you can feel depressed, you can feel like you don't really matter, you're not valued by other people, which then leads to shame, which can then lead to the binge eating. So how do you start to change this negative belief? Changing it from my needs don't matter to my needs do matter. Well, the first thing that you want to start doing is creating time in your day to spend a few minutes with yourself checking in, asking yourself, what are you feeling and what are you needing? This is the very first step in showing yourself that your needs do actually matter, because you're prioritizing some time in your day and you're dedicating that time to exploring what your needs are. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. Some people prefer to meditate as a way to check in with themselves and identify what they're needing. Some people prefer to journal and write about how they're feeling and what they're needing. Some people prefer to do artwork. Some people just prefer to sit in bed and kind of contemplate. So there's lots of different ways you can do this, but the goal is to create that time in your day to really check in with yourself. Now, if this is something that feels really foreign or uncomfortable to you, you may want to consider gifting yourself the opportunity to do some individual therapy. Because if you think about therapy, it's really scheduling time to check in with yourself, to explore how you're feeling, explore what you're needing. And the therapist can be that objective person to sit alongside you in that process and hold up the proverbial mirror and help you see what you're feeling and what you're needing. Now, once you create that space for yourself, then you really want to start to learn what exactly is going on inside. So what are you feeling? Put words to that. And then what are you needing to work through that feeling and to feel better? When you're identifying what you're needing, I want you to really think about your big needs and also your small needs. And what I mean by that is, what are your needs in the bigger picture of life and what are your needs on that smaller day-to-day scale? So a big need, for example, might be something like, I need reciprocal friendships in which I feel respected and valued and understood. That would be a big picture need that I have in my life to feel really good. A small need might be, I'm feeling really overwhelmed this week and I need a couple of hours to myself this weekend. And so what do you need to put in place to ensure that you get those couple of hours to yourself? Do you need to get a sitter to watch the kids? Do you need to cancel a couple of plans so that you have that open space in your calendar? Do you need to get away for a day and go somewhere to just be with yourself? So it's really thinking about, what are you needing on a bigger scale and on a smaller scale, and then what do you need to do to make that happen? Okay, so that's going to be the third step, is actually actively working to meet your needs, taking the steps to get those needs met, to find those friends who will respect you and understand you and offer a reciprocal relationship, to find the babysitter who can watch the kids this weekend so you can take a couple of hours to yourself. So really get active in getting those needs met. And then the last piece that I would offer is working on developing your ability to tolerate other people not necessarily getting their needs met. Because when you stop giving so much of yourself and putting everyone else's needs before your own, what's naturally going to happen is sometimes people are going to have to wait. They're going to have to figure things out on their own without your help. And so getting comfortable with that is really important. In order to put your needs first and to prioritize those and value those, you have to be willing to ask other people to wait their turn or to find another way to get their needs met because you are not available. So sometimes that can generate feelings of guilt and discomfort, but you know what? I know you can tolerate those feelings, and in the long run, you're going to feel a lot better if you prioritize yourself and take care of yourself first, okay? So that's what I want you to work on this week, is really paying attention to what are your needs, can you get them met, and can you tolerate other people waiting, and not necessarily getting all of their needs met because you're taking care of you, all right? So I will be back here for a final negative belief that often co-occurs with binge eating disorder. In the meantime, enjoy getting to know yourself more and getting to know your needs more, and I'll see you here next week. Take care. Bye-bye.